Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're stepping into the world of chrome, tailfins, roaring V8 engines, and pure American heritage. This is the golden era of American classic cars. For the next 10 minutes, we'll explore the history, the engineering, the culture, and the legends that shaped America's automotive identity. So buckle up, because we're about to take a ride back in time. When you think of classic American cars, what comes to mind? For most of us, it's power, size, style, and a bold, unapologetic personality. These incredible machines were so much more than just transportation. They were powerful statements of freedom and individuality. From the elegant jet-age designs of the 1950s to the high-performance, asphalt-shredding muscle cars of the 1960s and 70s, every decade introduced something truly unforgettable. These weren't just cars. They were rolling sculptures, symbols of an optimistic nation ready to conquer the open road. They told the world who you were, and they did it with a thunderous roar. Let's rewind to the 1950s, the decade that truly marked the beginning of America's passionate love affair with the automobile. After World War II, the economy was booming. The interstate highway system was beginning to connect the country, and Americans wanted vehicles that felt futuristic, exciting, and full of promise. This era gave us some of the most iconic silhouettes in automotive history. Think of the 1957 Chevrolet Bel Air, with its breathtaking tailfins and dazzling chrome trim, a car that perfectly captured the spirit of the age. Then there was the Ford Thunderbird, a revolutionary car that expertly blended personal luxury with a sporty two-seater feel. And of course, who could forget the Cadillac Series 62, a land yacht that set the standard for premium comfort and opulence. Cars of this era were designed with boundless optimism in mind. They had big, beautiful bodies, styling inspired by the jet age, and enough shiny metal to be seen from space. Driving wasn't just a necessity anymore. It was a lifestyle, an event, a celebration of progress. Then came the 1960s, and everything changed. The focus shifted from cruising in style to something far more primal: speed. Raw, unadulterated speed. Automakers quickly realized that a growing number of young buyers wanted performance above all else. This is when the term muscle car was officially born. The formula was simple but devastatingly effective. Take a lightweight mid-size car body and cram the biggest, most powerful V8 engine you can find under the hood. The goal? To absolutely dominate the streets and the drag strips. This explosive combination gave rise to some of the most legendary models ever built. It all started with the 1964 Pontiac GTO, a car that many experts call the first true muscle car. It was a game changer. Soon after, Ford unleashed the Mustang, a stylish, affordable, and sporty car that created an entirely new category, the pony car. The Mustang craze took America by storm. Naturally, competitors had to respond. General Motors fired back with the Chevrolet Camaro, its own powerful answer to the Mustang's success. And over at Chrysler, they gave us the Dodge Charger, a car that was big, aggressive, and absolutely unforgettable on the road and on the silver screen. These cars didn't just sell. They inspired Hollywood films, fueled a nationwide street racing culture, and created legions of passionate fans that have lasted for decades. By the early 1970s, the muscle car wars had reached their absolute peak. It was an era of pure horsepower insanity. Automakers were locked in a fierce battle for supremacy, and the engines were the weapons of choice. Names like the 426H EMI, the 454 Big Block, and the 440 Magnum became legendary, pushing horsepower numbers to levels that were almost unbelievable for factory production cars. This period gave us some of the most sought-after muscle cars of all time. We're talking about the mythical Plymouth Barracuda, especially the Cuda with the fire-breathing 426 Hemi engine. There was the Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454, a car with so much torque it felt like it could rip the pavement right off the ground. And of course, the Dodge Challenger RT, the Charger's equally aggressive sibling, a staple of raw motor power. But sadly, the party didn't last forever. A perfect storm was brewing. The 1973 oil crisis sent gas prices soaring, making these thirsty beasts incredibly expensive to run. At the same time, the government introduced stricter emissions regulations, forcing automakers to deaden their powerful engines. To top it all off, insurance costs for high-performance cars skyrocketed. By the late 70s, the golden era of muscle was fading into the sunset. The power was gone, but the legends remained. So, what is it about the engineering of these classic American cars that makes them so loved, even today? In a world of complex electronics and computer-controlled systems, these classics have a special kind of charm. They weren't overly complicated. They were raw, mechanical, and wonderfully analog. Most importantly, they were built to be worked on. Fans and collectors adore them for a few key reasons. For the sound. The deep, guttural rumble of a classic V8 engine is a symphony of mechanical power that modern cars just can't replicate. Second, the simplicity. The parts are often simple, sturdy, and accessible. You can open the hood and actually see the engine, not a sea of plastic covers. Third, the designs. They feel bold, emotional, and expressive, reflecting the confidence of their time. And finally, every single model has a story, a personality, a history behind it. There's something deeply authentic and satisfying about turning a wrench on a classic engine, feeling the machine come to life in your hands. It's a connection that modern technology, for all its benefits, has made much harder to find. Beyond the nuts and bolts, American classics represent something much bigger: freedom. They are powerful symbols of the open road, of weekend cruises with the windows down, and of a rebellious youth culture that wanted to carve its own path. These cars were at the very center of American life for decades. Think about the culture that grew up around them. Car clubs where owners shared their passion, drag strips where rivalries were settled on a quarter-mile of asphalt, and drive-in theaters where the car itself was part of the movie-going experience. Even today, that spirit is kept alive and well by a thriving community. Restoration shops meticulously bring these icons back to their former glory. High-profile auctions see rare models sell for astonishing prices. And car shows across the country bring together thousands of fans to celebrate this incredible heritage. And thanks to legendary movies like Bullitt with its iconic Mustang chase, or the Fast and Furious franchise, which introduced these classics to a new audience in Gone in 60 Seconds, new generations continue to discover and fall in love with these timeless machines. It might surprise you to learn that today, many of these classic American cars can fetch incredibly high prices. A beautifully restored 1970 Dodge Charger RT or a pristine 1969 Camaro SS can easily cost more than a brand new high-end supercar. So why are people willing to pay so much for a 50-year-old car? It comes down to a few key factors. The first is rarity. Many of the most desirable high-performance models were produced in very limited numbers, and even fewer have survived in good condition. Then there's nostalgia. For many, these cars represent a cherished time in their lives or a golden era they wish they could have experienced. There's also the craftsmanship. While they were mass-produced, the level of design and mechanical artistry involved is something collectors deeply appreciate. And finally, it's their cultural history. Owning a '69 Camaro isn't just owning a car. It's owning a piece of American history, a symbol of an entire generation. When you combine all of that, you realize that rarity, nostalgia, and cultural significance never go out of style. From the smooth-finned, chrome-laden cruisers of the 50s to the fire-breathing, tire-shredding muscle cars of the 60s and 70s, America's classic cars defined an era of automotive history like no other. These vehicles were more than just metal, glass, and rubber. They represent a unique moment in time filled with boundless creativity, a passion for engineering, and an unrelenting desire to push boundaries. And even after all these decades, the unmistakable sound of a roaring V8 engine still has the power to stop people in their tracks, turn heads, and yes, still give us all goosebumps. Thank you so much for watching. If you love classic cars as much as we do, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment with your favorite classic, and subscribe for more. Stay tuned for more stories from the golden age of American automotive history.